Hey guys, welcome back to Tommy versus Time. Guys, this is episode 5 already. I know it's going so fast. But guys, in this episode, we're gonna be doing a chorizo and squid, sort of Greek couscous style salad. I think it's got a lot of potential. It looks delicious. And the best thing is, guys, we're continuing on seafood. Why? Because we're gonna try to keep our momentum from last week. If you saw our video last time, here, whatever it is. We actually made the time limit. We did Moroccan mussels that time, guys. It was excellent, tasted wonderful. I think it scored a 26 out of 30, and we actually hit the time mark. So guys, as you know, in this series, what we're going to be doing is scoring this on 4 separate categories. Those categories are, of course, time. Can we do this in the 15 minutes as instructed? So far, we've only done it once, but maybe this will be a number 2. I don't know. No, number 2. Get it?
Come on, man.
Next thing we'll be measuring this on, guys, of course, is cost to see kind of roughly what this costs per plate. So far, everything's been in and around the under $5 mark, but about $3 or $4. So it's been pretty good so far. We'll also be measuring this on ease of use, meaning do we need a lot of extra utensils or tools or special techniques that maybe we don't have access to, or in my case, you know, a blender, which I still don't have. And of course, finally, guys, not surprisingly, taste. How good is it? Does it taste great? Does it look nice? All those things. So we factor all that in, guys. The scores are always out of 30, and then it's a pass-fail on the time. So of course, guys, one of the big things with this one, and the reason I want to keep up the seafood is because of our, like I said, our video last time where we actually hit the time. So I'm pretty hopeful on this one. It also looks delicious. I'm a bit of a sucker for seafood, so sue me. So guys, if you're enjoying any of these videos, please feel free to check some of the other ones out on the channel. We've got a bunch out there. We're going to continue this series for quite a while. So hopefully you guys, if you are wanting to see a different recipe or a different cookbook, by all means, guys, please let me know. Leave a comment down below on some of the different books I could be looking at or different recipes I should be trying. The whole goal with this series, guys, is again to see if we can make these sort of quick meals in the allotted amount of time, as you know. All right, guys, so with that out of the way, let's hop into the ingredients. But of course, before that, B-roll. Some pretty good B-roll. Now, guys, with that out of the way, let me just break down really quickly what this recipe is going to entail. It's got 3 components. The first is the couscous, not surprisingly. The second one, of course, is our squid and our chorizo and all the flavor, all the good stuff. Finally, last but not least, is our garnishes, which is going to just be some of your toppers, your feta and your yogurt and some other things. But I'll highlight all the ingredients now, guys. Let's get to it. All right, folks, you're going to want to grab yourself 1 cup of couscous. Now, in this case, as you can see, I have quinoa because I thought that I had couscous in the house, and when I went grocery shopping, I didn't grab any, but you definitely are going to want to grab some couscous. It is better for this recipe. Up next, you're going to want 4 green onions, which you'll be adding into your blender along with your spinach. Here, you're going to use about 1 to 2 cups of this, but you could use more if you'd like. Next, you'll grab yourself a beautiful yellow lemon for some acid, and then we'll grab ourselves a handful of mint. You could use basil or something else if you like, but mint goes well here. So it's time for the fun part, which is our baby squid. You're going to want to grab about 400 grams here, and then you're going to want to also grab yourself about 80 grams of our chorizo. Now, chorizo is spicy or not spicy, depending on what you like, but you can find different ones, but chorizo goes really well here. That will be adding 2 of our bell peppers. You want to have multicolored here just because it looks a bit prettier. To that, you'll be adding 10 olives. Now, in this case, I have Kalamata, but you can use whatever olive you like. Now, when I say I like Kalamata olives, I mean I love Kalamata olives. These are so tasty. I'm surprised I only ate 1. But yeah, let's put those away and move to our ingredients, which is going to be 2 cloves of garlic. You could add more if you want, but 2 is sufficient for this recipe. Next, you want to grab 1 tablespoon of honey just for a little bit of sweetness, and that will pair well with our next ingredient, which is some sherry vinegar. I did have to actually go out and get the special. You can use any vinegar you want, but possibly red wine vinegar would be a good replacement. Now, to that, you'll be adding 2 tablespoons of olive oil, followed by about 50 grams of feta cheese, ideally goat feta, but use what you find. And for dressing, we'll be using a base of plain Greek yogurt. This is fat-free yogurt, but of course you can grab what you want. You need about 1/4 cup, and then we'll be adding to that wonderful yogurt some harissa. So this is about 1 teaspoon of harissa, but you can use, again, a little bit more if you like a little more spice. So let's set our timer here, guys, which is going to be 15 minutes, as you know, and see how this goes. So with the timer set, let's get into our ingredient prep. So the first thing we're going to want to do is grab our green onion and give this a quick rough chop, because this is going to also go into the blender along with our spinach. And yeah, do the same thing with the spinach. You don't necessarily have to do this, but I find I have a small blender and this does help. So to our blender, we're going to add our spinach and our green onion, a bit of salt, a bit of pepper, and you can add some oil if you want. And of course, you should end up with something that looks a little bit like this. This, guys, is the base for our flavoring of our quinoa, or hopefully, if you have it, some couscous. So grab yourself a medium pan or bowl and just put that delicious aromatic green goo in there. And we're going to throw, of course, our wonderful quinoa on top. So as you can see, guys, I'm going to be pouring 2 cups of quinoa here because, well, I need some extra food and I decided I would use the extra cup of quinoa for something else. Again, guys, please use couscous. It will work much better in this recipe than quinoa will. So grab your 2 cups of quinoa and pour it directly over your aromatics. To that, you're going to pour over your 4 cups of water. Now here I'm doing 2 cups at a time because this only holds 2 cups, and we had the water boiling on the side. Naturally, you're going to want to pour your water over in a very cinematic fashion and not spill anywhere like I did, but generally speaking, 4 cups of water, it's a 2-to-1 ratio for quinoa or couscous. It's basically the same, but in this case, guys, you're just going to want to give it a quick stir and let it sit until it sets up. So now with the grains sitting off to the side, we're going to get to our wonderful baby squid. So guys, what you're going to want to do here is quickly score this in kind of a crisscross pattern. And yeah, you're going to have to do this a number of times. So we're just going to go ahead and speed that up. And once you have a nice little pile that looks a little bit something like this one right here, you'll want to move the next step, which of course is going to be to cut this into little rings. Now, guys, I do recommend you cut these a little bit thicker than what I did because it will hold up a little bit better when you cook in a pan and has a bit of a better mouthfeel. Ultimately, though, you should have something that looks like a ring like this that cooks fairly quick. Next is the scary part, which is the tentacles. But guys, these are easy, delicious. Just give them a quick chop and they will go directly in the pan. Next, we're going to move on to our pepper, which we're going to de-seed. So we're going to top and tail it. We're going to cut a little slat in it, and then we're going to quickly roll it out and just kind of let the knife do the work here and cut all the pith out. Once you're done that, you're going to want to cut this into thin julienne pieces before we do the exact same thing with our other pepper. So next, we're going to move to our chorizo. Now we're just going to cut this into thin slices. This is about 80 grams or so. I cut a bit more and added extra here, so I probably used about 90 or 100 grams in mine, but you can use as much or as little as you like. So with the chorizo all cut up, we're going to move to the stovetop where we have a pan on medium-high heat. We're going to put about 1 to 2 tablespoons of olive oil in there before we throw our chorizo in. Once the chorizos release their oil, you're going to want to throw in your orange bell peppers, followed by your red bell peppers, and then you're going to want to give this a quick stir, just to make sure you incorporate all that oil all over the peppers. Once all the flavors are incorporated, you should have something that looks a bit like this. Now there's a lot of oil here, so we're going to want to cut that with our vinegar. This is our cherry vinegar. We're going to use about a splash here, but you could use a little bit more to taste. But in any case, just throw in your vinegar, give it a stir, and then we're going to want to cut that vinegar with some honey. So the honey is going to go directly into the pan, guys. This is about 1 teaspoon. You could use a bit more if you like it a bit sweeter, and it's going to melt down and give us a nice flavor profile. We have some acid and we have some sweetness and some fats. It's coming along quite nicely. Speaking of things that are nice, it is time to add our squid, guys. You're going to put this directly into the pan. Just clear some room for them and just let them sit for a sec before you stir this all together. Now you'll notice that this releases quite a bit of liquid, but that's okay, guys. Just keep cooking it till you have something that looks a little bit like this. Lots of color, kind of orange, not too much liquid left over. And yeah, we also have no time left over because we ran out of time. It already took us 15 minutes just to get to that stage, guys. So we got more work to do. Let's restart this and see how long we got. Now while time's up, we still got stuff to do, so we're going to put our yogurt into a bowl. This is about 1/4 cup of yogurt, and then we're going to add our 1 teaspoon of harissa, followed by a little bit of olive oil just to give it some more color, and then we're going to just mix this and make it look pretty and marbled. So with our harissa yogurt garnish ready, it's time to move to plating. So grab yourself a serving dish, and in this case is the only one I have, and then you're going to add your couscous or quinoa, in my case, to your dish. So you'll see here that I'm adding a bit more than 1 cup. That's because I decided to go and use about 1.5 cups here of our quinoa. And you're just going to spread that around, and then you're going to add a squeeze of lemon to that, just to give it a bit more acid. I think you should also add a bit of salt, possibly even some pepper at this stage. I do recommend that. Next, you're going to add every last piece of your squid, chorizo, and pepper mixture to the top of this quinoa before adding some garnish, which is going to be some mint and some extra green onion. Next, you're going to add your feta cheese. Now, this can give you a beautiful pop of color, but you could actually replace your feta cheese with goat cheese if you like. But I love feta cheese, and I also love olives, which we're going to add next. And yeah, I think the recipe calls for 10, but I probably added like 12 here. Finally, we're going to add our yogurt harissa mixture. You're just going to spoon this over in a kind of random, kind of artistic way, and then we're going to add ourselves a nice topper of microgreens. And there you go. So the dish is done. It looks beautiful, but we're going to give it more of a glamour shot here in a second. There you go. And guys, it only took us an extra 7 minutes and 7 seconds. So kind of over time, but not too bad. And yeah, overall, a good dish. So there you go, guys. Our quinoa, chorizo, and squid Greek-style salad. You know, unfortunately, guys, like you saw, it took us over 7 minutes beyond the 15-minute mark. You know, it happens. I think where we kind of used up a lot of our time there. Unfortunately, it was when we were actually scoring that squid. I think honestly it would have been faster just to cut it into slices. It would have saved us a lot of time. So guys, I actually ate some of this off screen because we have some guests, well, some family members over. So I took a few bites. Guys, it is spicy, has that acid. That harissa really adds a nice deep flavor to it. The chorizo and the squid really pairs well together. I think it could use a little bit more in terms of some vegetables, maybe some tomatoes or something, just a little bit more to add to it. But overall, guys, I really enjoyed it. So of course, guys, I'm gonna walk you through all the scoring right now. All right, guys, so let's get into the scoring. Now, as you know, we have 4 categories. We have taste, ease of use, cost, and time. Now for time, as you saw, we failed. We were 7 minutes over. It happens, but overall, I think we really did lose a lot of time when we were kind of scoring all of the squid. As I said, probably could have just cut that directly and been done with it. Not to say that would have saved us 7 minutes, but it would have saved us a chunk of time. For taste, guys, I'm giving this a 7 out of 10. Now, I do think this could have scored higher if I had not had to use quinoa. That's my fault. This does call for couscous. The couscous would have done a much better job, in my opinion, of just absorbing the flavors from our aromatics, which were our mint and our scallions or green onion, and also just any other base that you would have put into it. So again, unfortunately, it just didn't quite hit all the notes. I also probably should have added a bit more lemon for a bit more acid. Up next is ease of use. Now guys, I'm giving this a 6 out of 10. A lot of this comes down to just having to kind of use a lot of different implements. You know, we had to obviously use our blender, we had to strain our quinoa, which again, if we had couscous, we wouldn't have had to use. And then of course, just the fact that we had to score that squid, kind of a pain to do. And yeah, I think you could have just cut it, saved your time, could have scored a little bit better. Finally, let's look at cost. So for cost, guys, I'm giving this a 6 out of 10. This is probably not so surprising given that squid and chorizo are not the most available and used ingredients, and certainly where I'm from, they're a little bit more expensive. That being said, though, the overall cost here was about just under $25. So we actually had a per plate cost of $6 and about 25 cents. So overall, it's not actually that bad. It's just that compared to our other dishes that we've made and other recipes we've tried during this sort of YouTube series, yeah, it's about $1 to $2 above the other ones. So I have to give it a bit of a lower grade. All right, guys, so that's it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know a little disappointed we couldn't finish in time, but as you can see, overall, it scored fairly well. I definitely recommend you try this as a meal for yourself if you're looking for something a little bit different. Now, of course, as always, if you guys are enjoying the videos, please do not forget to check out some of my other videos. We do have a bunch of other cooking videos out there. So that's it for me, guys. Have yourselves a great one. Stay safe. And as always, thumbs if you liked it, subs if you loved it. We will see you in the next one.